If you're buying XLM, Hbar, Bitcoin, or any other crypto right now, there is something extremely sinister going on, and I have a massive warning for you. If you are not aware of this, you really need to be. So hit the like button. Let's get into this video. Now, I came across this piece of news this morning on Bloomberg, and I want you to pay attention to what this piece of news says. Bitcoin is set to quadruple to $120,000 by the end of 2024, Standard Chartered Bank says. Now, Standard Chartered is a bank with around $800 billion in terms of valuation. And you're wondering, well, what is there to be a warning about? Why should we be worried about things like this? Well, what is going on in the price right now for Bitcoin? Let's take a look. $120,000 is obviously way above the previous price estimations. And I see in my free Telegram, which is linked down below, guys, jump into that. Love to have you over there. Lots of people saying and sharing price predictions from various banks saying that Bitcoin's going to rally towards the upside. We need to be getting in and FOMOing in right now. And the price, obviously, as we can see, has been hanging around in this sort of zone for quite some time, just at around $30,000. So obviously $120,000 is a 4x on the Bitcoin price right now. It seems pretty tempting, doesn't it? Well, let's have a look at some other stuff that I've seen over the last few years. This was JP Morgan back on the 5th of January 2021. JP Morgan says Bitcoin could rise to $146,000 long term as it competes with gold. Let's go back to the 5th of January 2021. This was the 5th of January 2021, this very small little candle in here. Look at what happens exactly a few days after that, or one day in fact after that, we dump, we get another push and we dump. So Bitcoin, in that period of time, about a week after, fell another 21%. And here's another one that you should pay attention to. Shocked, JP Morgan price prediction reveals catastrophic doomsday scenario may be just the start for Bitcoin and Ethereum. When was this dated? 7th of April 2023. Let's look for the 7th of April 2023, shall we? 7th of April 2023 was this candle. Wow, something very weird happened. Literally, the next day, the 8th of April, we pumped nearly 11% in just a couple of days. What is really going on, and why are these banks that clearly make a lot of money getting it wrong every time? Well, they're not getting it wrong. They're getting it right, but they're telling you the wrong answer. So why are they telling you the wrong answer? Well, what do they need to do? Well, when the price is low down in the markets, they need to make you think that the price is going to go up, because what they need to do is buy at the bottom of the market. Now, you know, I talk to you quite often about buy zones, and I want you to understand the concept of a buy zone and what is really going on within that area. Now, this you can see for Bitcoin is a buy zone. We have an interesting area here where you can see that we have a bit of sideways action. From this sideways action, you can see that we then get these very big push out. Now, what is effectively happening in here is big money is trying to buy without rallying the price too aggressively. Now, if they buy all of their bags at once, the price will shoot up too fast. This is not good for them, right? Because if you're talking about loading up on billions of dollars, you need to buy very slowly because you don't want that price to pump, okay? Because if you're buying billions of dollars and you can get in at $20,000 and you don't want to pay 14% more, because 14% on $1 billion is a lot of money, guys, okay? So what they need to do is they need to load up slowly. And in order for the price not to keep pushing up, they need some sell liquidity. Where do they get that sell liquidity from? People like you, people like me, who are easily manipulated by the news. And it's because of this easy manipulation that they're able to do this. What they then have is a sell-off that is caused by some FUD, some fear, and some scary sounding news. I believe this was to do with the Binance thing that was going on before. Binance is going to collapse or all this stuff. Suddenly shoots down here, and then guess what happens? Everyone starts to rally into the market because this was the final fill up, okay? Basically, they know that this is the price they want to buy at. The price rallies down into this zone and they fill up their bags. Now, why I'm so concerned about that piece of news right now from Standard Chartered is that Bitcoin is quite high in the sort of shorter term as we look at it. We can see that we've had some good rallies into this area. Now, what is going on? Why are we getting this price manipulation right now? Well, if the price news is positive And we're seeing right now Standard Chartered starting to come in and say, Bitcoin is going to go up to 140K. If we start to see other banks coming in, JP Morgan, Citibank, you name it, coming in and telling us that the price prediction for Bitcoin is way high, then that's a bit of a concern. Now, what we're looking at is Bitcoin moving into a price of strength. And what we see in this area is a potential for Bitcoin to do one of two things: go up very aggressively or go down very aggressively. Now, many retailers are waiting right now because the greed in Bitcoin and crypto in general is pretty high right now, considering where we are in the market. Not many people are willing to sell. All they're doing is trying to buy and buy and buy. Now, the reason I'm kind of concerned about what is happening right now with that particular news, and if we start to see more news flood in from the likes of JP Morgan, Citibank, whoever it is, guys, then we have a bit of a concerning time on our hands, because we are quite high. Okay, we have been pumping for quite some time. We're up a good 70-80% since the start of the year. And the big banks are aware that people are looking for an opportunity to buy. They're looking to continue buying and drive the price higher. Okay, the retailers are doing that. But the big banks could potentially be looking to dump the price, but they can't sell, and they won't be able to get the liquidity they need to sell without dumping the price too aggressively without you buying. Okay, so they're going to encourage people to buy by creating this hyper excitement within the markets. Now, what do we think about that? Yes, it's immoral, and yes, we don't like it. But the banks have been doing this for a very long time, okay? They've been doing it in Forex, they've been doing it in all sorts of different ways. And whilst there is a lack right now of Bitcoin ETFs and stuff, with the looming BlackRock ETF and much more coming up, things are looking a bit alarming. So what do we really need to know about this? Well, the news with regards to at least Bitcoin can't really be trusted, okay? Be very cautious of listening to any of these like major price predictions on any of these kind of major news channels like Bloomberg or whatever, because you can see time and time again, it's pretty much doing the opposite of what everyone is saying. Now, we are still kind of low down in the markets, and there is still a potential that there are just looking to pump the price, but ultimately it's just manipulation, whichever way you look at it. So to avoid this manipulation, unless you are looking specifically at the charts and identifying chart patterns and understanding where the price is going, and if you don't understand how to look at chart patterns, well, the only safe thing you can do is to DCA in. And you DCA in not on the rallies, guys. I see people DCAing in or saying they're DCAing in because it's pumping. You don't DCA in to anything that's like pumping like this. You DCA in on these pullbacks. So what we're looking for is an area of interest. So for example, on Bitcoin, this was the area of interest. This showed our buy zone. We had one down here. You wait for the pullbacks into these zones and then you buy. Here's another one I've just talked about there. Okay, we got the sideways action. It comes back down perfectly. It touches and then we get another buy. You don't really, in my opinion, want to be DCAing into Bitcoin right this second, because I can see another buy zone that's at here around 26K. Now, there's no guarantee that Bitcoin is going to come back down. It could well rally beyond this. So if it does rally beyond this, what do I know? I know that at some point it has to pull back. I don't want to buy into this area right now because Bitcoin's just come off the back of a very big pump. Now, if it continues to go up and you miss out on that, that's not a bad thing. Okay, you've just been disciplined, and that discipline will hold very good value throughout the bull market. Okay, you might miss a trade here and there, but don't worry. Okay, there's always another day, there's always another trade, but there's not always more money. Okay, so don't jump and dive into big pumps. Wait for those pullbacks. If we get a pullback here, then obviously we've got a good buy zone established. If, however, Bitcoin rallies, does this, well, we already know that this is our buy zone, right? Because if it rallies hard out of here, we know that big money has been accumulating in this zone here. So if it does something like this, then it might come back, and then this could be a perfect opportunity to be buying in. Now, why do we want to be buying in, even if we know that it's gone all the way up here? Well, the reason for this, guys, is one, it's going to keep you calm, and you know you're going to be getting better value because it's much more likely that the price is going to pump up after a pullback than it is going to pump up after a pump. Pumps don't tend to follow pumps. Dumps follow pumps. Pumps follow dumps. Make sense? So, guys, DCing in once you get pullbacks like this is the best option. But we got something very exciting. It's not just about Bitcoin. If you look at all the other cryptos right now, things are looking a little bit different. Now, if you start to see a sell-off in Bitcoin, I actually do imagine that we could be moving from phase 1 into sort of phase 2 and phase 3 of a very minor kind of bull run phase, a bull phase, okay? And then money will flow from Bitcoin, and it tends to flow into kind of altcoins and things like that. So the Bitcoin dominance is looking high. It wouldn't surprise me if we did see a bit of a pullback in the Bitcoin dominance, and that is going to be ultimately very bullish for other coins out there. If we see a big sell-off though in Bitcoin, you will see a big pullback in the others. I know, guys, and you're like, oh, I don't really know what to do. So to put it very simply, don't be reactive. If you're not reactive, then you can't go far wrong. What I mean by being reactive, using this Hbar chart, this is a good example. This was what? The end of the year. Hbar does this. What was everyone doing up here? They were buying. Why shouldn't we be buying up here? Because you just get wrecked, right? If you're buying up here, suddenly you find yourself 22% down in like an hour, then you panic sell, and then you're like back to square one, rather than waiting for a potential pullback. And yet, we have zones like this one here, where you can see the sideways action, and it pulls back, and eventually it falls down below that zone. But, you know, I'm far happier if I bought Hbar here right now, and I'm only, currently down 12%. At one point I was down 26%, than I would have been if I bought all the way up there. And at one point I was sat down 58% like 2 weeks later. That's why you get correct in crypto, guys, because it manipulates your emotions. Don't FOMO into trades. Remain calm. Don't listen to what is going on all the time on Bloomberg and whatever. Yes, it's valuable information to know the macroeconomic picture, what's going on around the world. But when you're hearing these banks just shouting out like, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to 300K, it's going to be worth $1 million next year, be very cautious, guys, because it's there to manipulate you into doing something stupid that you shouldn't be doing. If you enjoyed that little bit of insight today, guys, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the very next video.